The FIFA Club World Cup quarterfinals are starting really soon, so it's only right that I give you my predictions for these set of games. And we got some exciting clashes coming up, like can Al-Hilal continue their dream run and pull off another upset, this time against the Brazilian giants Fluminense? Can Palmeiras get the revenge on Chelsea and make the semifinals? Can PSG show why they're the best team in the world right now against Bayern Munich? And can Real Madrid get past Borussia Dortmund, etc.? Well, let's find out what I think will happen in these games with my predictions. And trust me, you're gonna want to stay to the end, because I might have some crazy upsets in this video. To start this quarterfinal video off, we're gonna begin with the Fluminense versus Al-Hilal match, and we're gonna go over Fluminense first. Now, Fluminense took care of business in the group stages with almost no surprise whatsoever. They drew to Borussia Dortmund 0-0. They would take that all day. They came back from 2-1 down against Ulsan to win 4-2 and grab all 3 points, and then drew with Mamelodi Sundowns 0-0 in the last game, which is all they had to do to progress to the round 16 in second place in their group. But them finishing second place led them to play Inter Milan in the knockout stages. You know, the side that just made the Champions League final. So a lot of football fans, including myself admittedly, thought that there was no chance Fluminense could progress further at this summer's Club World Cup. I mean, Fluminense so far at the tournament haven't wowed us. They just handled business and that's that. Nothing too crazy. They showed us how tough and consistent these guys really are. Because despite having less shots and less possession against Inter, they had the same number of shots on target, and that's what matters. And with them actually scoring goals in the match, it meant that they were more efficient with the ball. Starting off in the 3rd minute, German Cano would be on the end of a deflected cross, and Darmian had no reaction to it, so Cano had a wide open header and scored to put the Brazilian side 1-0 up early. And Fluminense would have the better chances for a while, including scoring an offside goal that could have put them up 2-0. But later on in the second half, Inter Milan would start to look scary and get some really threatening chances to tie the game. But a defense led by Thiago Silva, who's still a beast at his old age, remained strong. And eventually Hercules, no, not the Greek god, I'm talking about the footballer, scored a pinpoint accurate shot outside the box with the left foot in the 90+ 3rd minute to seal the deal and help Fluminense pull off the upset against Inter in this 2-0 win. What a huge win for Fluminense and Brazilian football. And now they'll be the second Brazilian side to participate in the quarterfinals alongside Palmeiras. They violated the other Rio de Janeiro based teams with their tweet too. That's wild. Anyways, I didn't really think Fluminense had it in them. In fact, in the group stages regarding all the Brazilian clubs, I would tell you that I was the least impressed by Fluminense. But just because they didn't have that wow factor doesn't mean they didn't play good. They're strong in the back, largely thanks to the legend Thiago Silva, and defenses win championships. So Fluminense, they got a chance now. And regarding Inter, these guys are falling apart. Lautaro after the game basically said that whoever wants to leave Inter should go. And the president came out after Lautaro said that, saying that that message was for Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Bro might be hated by both sides of Milan after this tournament. That is crazy. But now I think it's time we talk about the next club in this quarterfinal clash. So let's go over to Al-Hilal. And wow, I'm so excited to talk about this Saudi team, bro. So let's just dive straight into it.
Let's get straight to it. On my mama, we lit.
So in the group stages, Al-Hilal just did their job. They did exceed expectations by grabbing a point against Real Madrid in the opening match, with Bono even saving a last minute penalty, but then they ended up drawing RB Salzburg 0-0, which kind of set them back. But with Real Madrid destroying RB Salzburg on the last match day, while Al-Hilal got a 2-0 win over Pachuca, the Saudi side managed to finish second place in the group and move on to the knockout stages, where unfortunately at the time, they would have to face Manchester City. And listen, everybody in the world thought that Manchester City had this game in the bag. Man City literally topped their group, getting the maximum of 9 points, and they scored 5 goals past Juventus. I thought there was no way in hell that Al-Hilal could get past Man City if Juventus couldn't. But this Club World Cup is just full of surprises, because man oh man, Al-Hilal found a way. Now City did end up dominating the game, getting 30 shots, 14 shots on target, and 69% possession, ooh la la. But Al-Hilal didn't do so bad either. They still had 17 shots and 6 of them were on target, so they were holding their own. But it didn't start the best for the Saudi side, with Bernardo Silva getting on the end of a rebound and scoring in the 9th minute. But low-key, this goal shouldn't have counted because there was a handball during the play. I thought City paid the rest for a second. But after City dominated the first half and Bono had to make 6 saves just in the first 45 minutes, Al-Hilal came out swinging in the second half, with Marcos Leonardo scoring in the 46th minute to bring the game back level. I was so happy with Leonardo scoring, man. And after that, I was praying that Al-Hilal held on until penalties. But then the Brazilian Malcolm, ex-Barcelona and Zenit St. Petersburg man, came up big in the 52nd minute and scored from a counterattack to put Al-Hilal surprisingly ahead 2-1. I was in dreamland, but then I was brought back to reality when Erling Haaland scored 3 minutes later. And with that, the game went to extra time. I low-key thought from here on that the run was over, and in extra time, Al-Hilal was gonna get cooked. But then City made some weird substitutions. They took out Erling Haaland, and after subbing on Rodri, they took him off, brought a stinker, and then got hooked. That's crazy. That's the Ballon d'Or winner right there. Then right away in extra time, Koulibaly got his head on the end of a corner kick and scored in the 9+4th minute to send the Al-Hilal fans and hate watchers like myself into dreamland. But then Phil Foden got on the end of a beautiful Cherokee pass and scored to equalize again in the 104th minute. And then once again, I thought this game was over. But Al-Hilal had one more surprise for us. And in the 112th minute, Milinkovic English Savage headed the ball into Ederson, but he just padded the ball into Leonardo's chest, and he scored to bring the lead back to Al-Hilal 4-3. And this time, Al-Hilal would hold on, meaning against all odds, the team from Saudi Arabia beat the inevitable Manchester City 4-3, and they're going to be the ones going to the quarterfinals. Wow, man, wow. What a beautiful hate watch. Al-Hilal, it's been an absolute pleasure. But now I think it's time to go to my prediction regarding the Fluminense versus Al-Hilal quarterfinal. And who do I got winning this one? And listen, I feel like you can go either way in this game. I truly think it's 50-50. Both clubs deserve to be here, and they both show that. But even with my brain saying Fluminense has got this one, the story of Al-Hilal beating Man City and moving on is just too good. So I gotta go with my heart. And I'm actually gonna pick Al-Hilal to make the Club World Cup semifinals over Fluminense. I know this might come back to bite me, but after that generational hate watch, I gotta back the Saudi side, man. I just have to. But now real quick before we move on to the next match, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I'll really appreciate it, and it means a lot, so thank you. And also, if you guys can, follow my Twitter and my Instagram, both at Nabuto, if you just want to hear my thoughts on football games, transferred, and overall just to get to know me more. Also, make sure to join the Discord server, link in the description, and also follow me on Twitch. Live streams may be coming soon. So yeah, if you want to, feel free to subscribe to the channel, follow me on my socials, and like the video. Thank you. On to the next quarterfinal clash at the Club World Cup. Let's talk about the Palmeiras versus Chelsea match next. And we're going to start this one off by talking about Palmeiras first. Now Palmeiras, as I mentioned in the last video, topped their group, with them drawing to Porto 0-0, beating Al-Ahly 2-0 quite fortunately, and then drawing with Inter Miami 2-2 after being down initially 2-0. And with them topping the group, they had the opportunity to play Botafogo in the round 16. And I'm not gonna lie, this was one of the games I was most hyped about watching. An all-Brazilian clash to see who makes the quarterfinals. I knew I had to be seated for this game. And I was, but that game genuinely put me to sleep, bruh. I felt like I wasted 2 hours of my life. Like genuinely, the game was just dead. So dead, man. Don't be fooled by the stats where it said Palmeiras had 19 shots and Botafogo had 16. Look at the shots on target. Palmeiras only had 5 and Botafogo had a measly 2 from 16. Yeah, this game was not a fun watch. Luckily in extra time, things got slightly more entertaining, with super sub Paulinho coming on from the bench and scoring a well-taken goal in the 100th minute to put Palmeiras ahead 1-0. Somebody needed to step up for Palmeiras after Vitor Roque and Esteval were taken off around the 60th minute, and Paulinho did just that. Crazy part is, Paulinho just got on the pitch, did his job, and then the manager took him out straight after. That's funny as hell, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, even with Palmeiras' Gustavo Gomez getting sent off later in extra time, Botafogo couldn't make the most of it, and they ended up losing to Palmeiras 1-0. And just like that, the Jinxbuto jinx strikes again. I really picked Botafogo to go through, and I went 0 for one of my predictions to start off the round 16. Brother, am I actually a curse? Anyways, with that being said, let's just move on to Chelsea for their game where I didn't jinx it at all. And this is the game where Chelsea had to play Benfica. And Chelsea got this opportunity in the round 16 after finishing second in the group, where they beat LAFC 2-0, lost to Flamengo surprisingly to some 3-1 despite going 1-0 up, and that beat Esperance on the last match day to top the group. While Benfica, on the other hand, managed to top their group despite being in a group with Bayern Munich. So I guess you could say Benfica were listed as the favorites from this match. But ball watchers like me, pause,
Hey, yo.
always knew that Chelsea was going to take this one. And they completely dominated the match, having 22 shots to Benfica's 8, 12 shots on target to Benfica's 5, and 64% possession. It was pure domination from Chelsea from almost start to finish. And although nothing really happened in the first half, the second half would start with a bang thanks to Reece James, who I could finally glaze and not tear him down due to my Trent Alexander-Arnold propaganda, because Trent doesn't play for Liverpool anymore, so I don't gotta be his hype man anymore, you feel me? And no cap, Reece James is just class, man. His biggest issue is his availability, so let's see if he can stay healthy. Regardless, in the 64th minute, he saw the keeper leave the near post wide open from a free kick and aimed it perfectly to that side and scored to put Chelsea up ahead 1-0. What a free kick from Reece James. And from here on, it seemed like Chelsea were in cruise control, and I thought they would see the game out with ease. But then, for the 7th time at this tournament up to this point, the game had to be delayed due to lightning in the area. Bro, what is going on the East Coast? Meanwhile, in California, I don't think I've seen a single cloud in like a month. It's straight sunshine over here, baby. Anyways, with that, the game was delayed by 2 hours, and your boy went ahead and started watching Squid Game Season 3. This show was so peak, bro. But anyways, while I was watching Squid Game, when I checked my phone to see the score, to see whether the game had resumed or not, I saw Benfica actually scored a goal, with Malo Gusto handballing the ball in the box in injury time, and Angel Di Maria scored from the spot to take the game to extra time. Chelsea were hard done by, not gonna cap. But luckily for the Blues, they did make extra time count. First, Benfica went down to 10 men due to a stupid red card from Bresciani in the 92nd minute. Then Christopher Nkunku would help Chelsea take the lead again after scoring from a defensive mistake from Benfica's goalkeeper in the 108th minute. Pedro Neto, whose stock has risen up at the Club World Cup, scored a one-on-one chance in the 114th minute, and Dewsbury Hall would get his goal for Chelsea in the 117th minute to help Chelsea beat Benfica 4-1. Look, I feel bad for this is the way that Di Maria is going to go out with his last game for Benfica, but Chelsea deserved the W for keeping it 100. But now, who do I got winning this quarterfinal clash between Chelsea and Palmeiras? Well, look, Chelsea are going to be the favorites in this game, and rightfully so. They have played the better football throughout the tournament, but they have already lost to Brazilian side before, so maybe Brazil could be Chelsea's kryptonite. So you know what? I'm just going to back my gut feeling and go with what I think is going to happen without using too much facts or logic, because using that is cringe. And I'm going to say Palmeiras are going to beat Chelsea on penalties to make the semifinals of the Club World Cup. The Brazilian team has to go to the semifinals, so I'm gonna back Palmeiras. On to the next quarterfinal clash we go, and let's talk about PSG versus Bayern Munich. And to begin with this one, we're gonna talk about PSG first. Now PSG are probably the favorites to win the Club World Cup this summer. After all, they were the best team in Europe this past season, winning the treble, which included their first ever Champions League. So it came with no surprise that PSG topped their group at the Club World Cup. However, it wouldn't be smooth sailing, because although PSG beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 and the Seattle Sounders 2-0, they would lose unexpectedly against Botafogo 1-0. And this meant that PSG weren't invincible and could be beaten. And I guess this gave Inter Miami and Lionel Messi fans some hope, as Miami were the ones facing PSG in the round 16. But let's be real, Inter Miami were never going to beat PSG. MLS roster rules and just their overall inferior squad would never in a million years beat this PSG side, even with the GOAT Lionel Messi and the likes of Luis Suarez, etc. And Inter Miami ended up getting smoked in this match. It all started in the 6th minute where João Neves was left wide open at the back post and scored a header to put PSG up ahead 1-0. Then in the 39th minute, João Neves would once again get a goal to put his side up 2-0. Following that in the 44th minute, Inter Miami's Al-Hilal scored an own goal, and Achraf Hakimi would add Paris' fourth in the first half alone to make it 4-0. PSG would then step off the gas in the second half, and they would keep it just at 4, and PSG would win this match easily. Literally not even me, a ballsy prediction man, would have picked Miami to beat PSG, respectfully. But shout out to Ousmane Dembele, because he finally got on the pitch at the Club World Cup after recovering from an injury, and him and Messi reconnecting after the game was mad cute, I'm not gonna lie. But now I think it's time we move on to the other club in this quarterfinal clash, Bayern Munich. Now Bayern are also one of the biggest and most historic clubs in football, so they were expected to make it through from the group stages. However, and what people didn't expect, they went through in second place. That's because although they slapped the living hell out of Auckland City 10-0, and then got the 2-1 win over Boca Juniors in a tense affair, they lost their last game to Benfica, and that caused them to finish second place in the group and face the Brazilian giants Flamengo. And this round of 16 tie, unlike the boring all-Brazilian clash between Palmeiras and Botafogo, was an entertaining one. It all started early in the 6th minute from a corner kick, where Flamengo's Eric Pulgar accidentally headed the ball into his own net to put Bayern up ahead 1-0. Shortly after, in the 9th minute, the ever so prolific Harry Kane would shoot with his weak foot, get a lucky deflection, and the ball went in to put Bayern up ahead 2-0 within 10 minutes. It was an incredible start for Bayern Munich, and an unlucky start for Flamengo. They did seem like they could come back though, with Gerson scoring an absolute rocket, almost taking off Neuer's head with that strike in the 33rd minute, but sadly shortly after that in the 41st minute, Goretzka would score a long shot from outside the box to restore that 2-goal lead for Bayern. And although Jorginho would score a penalty for Flamengo, Harry Kane would score his 41st goal of the season and his second goal in the game to make it 4-2 and help Bayern Munich make the quarterfinals at Flamengo's expense. I low-key did say that Flamengo could pull off the upset, and to be fair to me, they were pretty close. They got 2 goals from their own doing, but if you critically analyze Bayern's goals, all 4 of them were given for Flamengo giveaways, and that's important to know. So who do I got winning this quarterfinal clash between PSG and Bayern Munich? Well, I think it's quite simple. Although I rate Bayern's offense a lot, I don't think their defense is really that class, even with the addition of Jonathan Tah. And PSG's offense is quite possibly the best in the world, and with Ousmane Dembele back, they're even stronger. So for me, I'm not going to root against the best team in Europe and probably the world, and that's why I got PSG winning this quarterfinal clash in a tight affair and making the semifinals of the Club World Cup. No upset in this one. Now it's time for the following quarterfinal clash between Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund, and we're going to start this off by talking about Real Madrid first. Now as I mentioned in the last video, Real Madrid are coming off an underwhelming season, going trophyless, and they also got owned by Barcelona in 4 out of the 4 previous games. However, to start the Club World Cup off, Real Madrid brought in a couple of signings. They signed Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth to bolster up the center back position, and they got Trent Alexander-Arnold from Liverpool as well. Damn man, damn. They also got the River Plate Argentine winner kid Mastantuono, but he's not playing for Madrid at the Club World Cup. Oh, and also they got the new coach Xabi Alonso. So things were looking fresh for Real Madrid heading into this tournament. And although the first game was a bit rough for Real Madrid in which they drew Al-Hilal 1-1, having their last minute penalty saved, they still played well in the following 2 games. Despite going down a 10-minute early against Pachuca, they still ended up winning that game 3-1. And then the last group stage game, they destroyed RB Salzburg 3-0 to top the group, which led them to play Juventus in the round 16. And I'm not gonna lie, I said this in the last video and I'll say it again, I genuinely believe that Juventus stood no chance against Real Madrid. And for the most part, I was right. Sure, Kolo Muani had a great chance in the first half, but he lobbed the ball too high. But other than that, Juventus didn't really do too much. To be fair to them, despite even killing Mbappe coming on later, real scary hours, he's back. He's back. They didn't concede too many chances, but they did concede 1 goal, and that's thanks to the Real Madrid Academy graduate that spawned out of nowhere, Gonzalo Garcia, who scored a header from a Trent Alexander-Arnold cross, his first Real Madrid goal contribution by the way, and Garcia scored to secure an important 1-0 win over the Italian Giants. Other than that, nothing too much else happened in this game. And I'm not a Real Madrid fan, but I'm glad to see they won. Seeing Weston McKennie and Timothy Weah benched pissed me off. Juventus ain't that good to be benching these guys, respectfully. So yeah, shout out to Real Madrid for beating Juventus, I guess. But now it's time to talk about Borussia Dortmund, who so far at the Club World Cup have simply done done their job. They haven't been the best, they haven't been the flashiest, but they keep getting the job done, and that's what matters. So at the Club World Cup, these guys drew to Fluminense, as I mentioned already before, 0-0, survived a scare against Mamelodi Sundowns and beat them 4-3, and then beat Ulsan on the last match day 1-0 to top the group and move on to the round 16, where they would have to play Monterrey. And low-key, I wasn't too impressed by Dortmund, so I was trying to call an upset and I picked Monterrey to go through. But for once in a very long time, super duper rarely in fact, I did get a prediction wrong. Low-key, the only reason I picked Monterrey was because Dortmund wasn't laying their American players on the pitch, and they still didn't in this game, by the way. But anyways, in the first half, it was all Borussia Dortmund, and Serhou Guirassy not only scored one well-taken goal, but he scored another two in the first half alone to put Dortmund ahead 2-0. And shout out to Adeyemi because he was playing well too, and he even got 2 assists. But then in the second half, the tide started shifting a little bit, and it all started because of German Barthelemy, who scored a well-placed header across the goalkeeper in the 48th minute to bring Monterrey back into the match. And although Sergio Ramos and co kept pushing for an equalizer, even scoring an offsides goal in the process, it sadly wouldn't be enough, and Dortmund would hold on to win 2-1 and make the quarterfinals. So now, who do I got winning this Real Madrid versus Borussia Dortmund quarterfinal clash? The battle of the Bellinghams, Jude versus Joe. Well, actually not quite. Joe Bellingham is now suspended for that match because of yellow card accumulation, so we're gonna have to wait a little longer to see the Bellingham brothers face each other. Maybe Gio Reyna can finally play. Nah, I'm just playing. We all know that's not gonna happen. But anyways, what's my prediction for this game? And listen, man, sorry Dortmund, but it's the end of the road for y'all. There is no chance in hell I'm picking them over Real Madrid to make the semifinals of the Club World Cup. There is no chance. Sorry, y'all. Well, not really, because y'all stopped playing the Americans, so take that. But now, with everything out of the way, who do you guys think will win each quarterfinal clash at the Club World Cup? Let me know down in the comments. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And also follow my Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and join the Discord community. All the links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to learn about everything that happened in the June international window regarding the 2026 World Cup qualifiers, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.